50 million years ago, on the muddy shores of what we now call Pakistan, a creature no larger than a modern fox stood at the water's edge. Its name was Pachycetus, and in that moment captured forever in stone and sediment, the most extraordinary transformation in Earth's history was about to begin. This wolf-like mammal, with its sharp teeth and powerful legs built for running across ancient plains, felt the pull of something deeper than hunger. The water called, and evolution answered. Before we continue this journey, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story resonates with you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extraordinary for you. Picture, if you will, the warm shores of the Tethys Sea, this vast body of water stretched across the belly of our planet, when continents danced in different configurations, when the very geography of Earth bore little resemblance to our modern maps. Here, where Pakistan now bakes under desert sun, lush rivers meandered through tropical forests toward a sea that sparkled with possibilities. And into these waters, tentatively at first, stepped Pachycetus. What compelled this land dweller to wade deeper? Perhaps it was the abundance of fish silvering just beneath the surface. Perhaps it was the refuge water offered from predators, or the cooling relief from equatorial heat. Whatever the reason, this single step marked the beginning of one of evolution's most patient masterpieces, a transformation that would span 20 million years and rewrite the very definition of what it means to be a mammal. Consider for a moment the audacity of this evolutionary experiment. To take a creature perfectly adapted for terrestrial life and reshape it, bone by bone, organ by organ, into something that would make the ocean its home. The changes required were not merely cosmetic, they demanded a complete reorganization of anatomy, physiology, and even consciousness itself. In the fossil record, we can trace this magnificent metamorphosis with the precision of a slow-motion film. 5 million years after Pachycetus first entered the water, we encounter Ambulocetus, the walking whale. Still bearing 4 legs, but now with elongated skulls and teeth adapted for catching fish. These creatures moved like otters, powerful swimmers that had not yet abandoned the land entirely. They were citizens of 2 worlds, equally at home pursuing prey through shallow waters or basking on muddy banks. The transformation accelerated. 10 million years further into this epic journey, Rhodocetus emerged from the ancient seas with something revolutionary, a tail designed for swimming. No longer did these creatures rely solely on paddling limbs. They had discovered the sinuous power of spinal flexion, the same undulation that would eventually propel their descendants through 3-dimensional highways of liquid space. But perhaps the most remarkable changes were happening inside their skulls. Evolution was performing brain surgery on a geological timescale, reorganizing the very architecture of consciousness. The nasal passages, which had opened at the tip of the snout like any terrestrial mammal, began their slow migration backwards. Over millions of years, through countless generations, these breathing holes traveled across the skull like glaciers carving valleys, until they emerged at the crown of the head as blowholes evolution's elegant solution to breathing while swimming. Meanwhile, something extraordinary was happening to their perception of reality. The mammalian brain, which had spent 100 million years interpreting a world of sight, scent, and sound, was learning to see with ears. In the murky depths where sunlight failed and vision blurred, sound became the new light. These early whales developed the ability to echolocate, to paint pictures of their world using sound waves bounced off objects and interpreted by neural circuits of stunning sophistication. Imagine the first moment when one of these creatures realized it could navigate by its own voice. The revelation must have been as profound as if we suddenly discovered we could see through walls. In the space of a heartbeat, literally these animals could map every fish, every rock, every current around them. The ocean, once opaque and mysterious, became transparent as glass. 20 million years after Pachycetus first ventured into shallow water, The transformation reached its crescendo. Bodies had streamlined into living torpedoes, limbs had modified into flippers and fins, and brains had reorganized themselves around an entirely new way of experiencing existence. These were no longer land animals visiting the sea. They were creatures born from water itself, dolphins and whales whose very cells sang with the rhythm of waves. The ancient Greeks, those keen observers of the natural world, sensed something profound about these marine mammals. They called them Delphis, meaning womb, recognizing an essential truth that modern science would later confirm. These were not fish, despite their aquatic mastery. They were warm-blooded, air-breathing, milk-producing mammals, ocean-born siblings to every terrestrial creature, including ourselves. 3,500 years ago, on the sun-drenched walls of the Palace of Knossos in ancient Crete, Minoan artists captured something that speaks to humanity's enduring fascination with dolphins. Their frescoes show these creatures leaping with a joy so pure, so exuberant, that viewers across millennia cannot help but smile. These ancient painters saw what we still see today: grace that evolution spent geological ages perfecting, intelligence that sparkles behind dark eyes, and something indefinable that bridges the gap between human and non-human consciousness. But it was the Aboriginal Australians who perhaps understood dolphins most deeply. In their Dreamtime stories, passed down through 60,000 years of oral tradition, dolphins serve as guides between worlds, creatures that could traverse the boundary between the realm of the living and the realm of spirits. These indigenous storytellers recognize something that Western science is only beginning to appreciate. Dolphins exist in a state of consciousness so foreign to our own that they might as well be visitors from another dimension of awareness. For thousands of years, dolphins remained creatures of myth and glimpse beings that surfaced briefly in our stories before vanishing back into their liquid realm. Then, in 1927, something revolutionary happened. The first underwater photographers, breathing through primitive diving helmets and weighted down with cumbersome equipment, descended beneath the waves and encountered dolphins in their own element. What they witnessed changed everything. These dolphins didn't flee from the strange bubble-producing visitors. Instead, they approached with unmistakable curiosity. They circled the divers, studying them with intelligent eyes, their behavior suggesting not mere animal instinct but genuine interest in these peculiar creatures who had invaded their domain. Some dolphins even seemed to pose for the cameras, as if they understood the significance of this moment, the first time humans and dolphins had met as equals in the underwater realm. Those grainy black and white photographs captured more than just images. They documented humanity's first true introduction to Earth's smiling ambassadors, creatures whose expressions seem permanently fixed in attitudes of joy and benevolence. In those frames, frozen in silver and light, we see the beginning of a relationship that would revolutionize our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and our place in the community of life on Earth. The transformation that began 50 million years ago with Pakiceta standing at the water's edge was not just about one lineage of mammals adapting to aquatic life. It was about life itself demonstrating its infinite creativity, its refusal to be bound by limitations, its capacity to dream impossible dreams and then make them real. From legs to flippers, from terrestrial hunters to masters of three-dimensional space, from simple mammalian awareness to consciousness that can navigate by sound. The story of dolphins is the story of life's boundless imagination. As we stand today, at our own water's edge, facing challenges that demand transformation on a scale we can barely comprehend, perhaps we would do well to remember the lesson of Pakiceta. Sometimes the most profound journeys begin with a single step into the unknown. Sometimes evolution is not about becoming something entirely different, but about discovering possibilities that were always there, waiting beneath the surface. The dolphins swimming in our oceans today carry within their cells the memory of that first brave step into water 50 million years ago. They are living libraries of evolutionary innovation, breathing testaments to the power of patience, adaptation, and the courage to abandon the familiar for the promise of something extraordinary. But their story, our story together, has only just begun. Beneath every wave that breaks upon every shore, beneath every square mile of ocean surface that reflects the sky, lies an invisible network of highways older than human civilization. These are the dolphin routes, liquid corridors carved by currents and memory, traveled by countless generations who pass down their secrets like maritime heirlooms from parent to child across the centuries. In the Mediterranean Sea, where Phoenician ships first spread their sails 3,000 years ago, bottlenose dolphins still navigate channels their ancestors knew when the pyramids were young. These are not random wanderings, but purposeful journeys along underwater highways invisible to human eyes. Each pod carries mental maps of stunning precision, knowledge accumulated across 100 generations of mothers teaching daughters where the currents run strongest, where fish gather in abundance, where the water offers safety from storms and predators. Watch a Mediterranean pod as they approach the Strait of Gibraltar. Here, where two seas meet and ancient waters dance with Atlantic newcomers, the dolphins pause. They are reading the water like a vast three-dimensional book, interpreting temperature gradients and current signatures that tell them everything they need to know about the journey ahead. This is navigation beyond human comprehension, not relying on instruments or stars, but on an intimate understanding of water itself as a living, breathing, ever-changing landscape. But the Mediterranean dolphins represent just one note in a symphony of 90 species, each adapted to their own corner of our blue planet. Travel with me now to New Zealand's Marlborough Sounds, where the smallest cetaceans on Earth have made their home. Hector's dolphins, measuring barely 4 feet from nose to tail, weave through kelp forests with the grace of underwater hummingbirds. Their black and white patterns flash like living calligraphy as they navigate between giant kelp fronds in pods that have maintained the same territories for centuries. These diminutive dolphins have perfected the art of living small in a vast ocean, where their larger cousins traverse continental shelves and cross entire basins. Hector's dolphins have claimed tiny kingdoms, bays and inlets, where they know every rock, every current, every hiding place where fish seek shelter. They are the cottage gardeners of the dolphin world, cultivating intimate relationships with specific places rather than ranging across endless territories. From New Zealand's temperate waters, let us venture into one of Earth's most extraordinary aquatic realms, the Amazon during flood season. Here, as jungle rivers swell beyond their banks and forest floors disappear beneath chocolate brown water, pink river dolphins navigate a world transformed. These are the shapeshifters of the dolphin family, blessed with unfused neck vertebrae that allow them to twist and turn through submerged forests with supernatural agility. Picture this scene: a pink dolphin, its skin flushed the color of tropical sunrise, swimming between tree trunks in what was just months before dry land. It pursues fish that dart between branches, using echolocation to map a three-dimensional maze that changes with every flood cycle. The dolphin's flexible spine allows it to bend nearly 90 degrees, threading its body through gaps that would trap any rigid-spined cetacean. These are the contortionists of the aquatic world, evolution's answer to the challenge of hunting in flooded forests. But if pink river dolphins are the acrobats, then spinner dolphins near Hawaii are the aerial artists. In the deep blue waters surrounding these volcanic islands, spinner dolphins gather in groups that defy imagination, sometimes 300 individuals moving as a single, coordinated entity. And then, without warning, they begin their namesake performance. A single dolphin launches itself from the water, spinning like a living drill bit. 1 rotation, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 complete turns before gravity reclaims it. The splash sends ripples across the surface that seem to trigger others, until the entire pod is airborne in a display of aquatic choreography that combines communication, parasite removal, and what can only be described as pure joy. Scientists debate the purpose of these spectacular leaps, but perhaps we're overthinking it. Sometimes, evolution selects for celebration itself. Meanwhile, in the frigid waters off California's coast, Pacific white-sided dolphins demonstrate the power of community on an oceanic scale. These sleek black and white athletes gather in superpods of 3,000 individuals, floating cities of cetacean society that stretch for miles across the Pacific swells. To witness such a gathering is to see democracy in action, as thousands of independent minds somehow coordinate their movements, their hunting strategies, their very survival through forms of communication we're only beginning to understand. Each species has carved out its unique niche in the oceanic mosaic. In the muddy rivers of Asia, Irrawaddy dolphins have mastered the art of water as weapon. They surface near fishing boats and fishermen alike, then compress their throat muscles to spit precise jets of water at fish swimming below the surface. The stunned prey becomes easy pickings, demonstrating tool use that extends beyond objects to the very medium in which they live. Water, for these dolphins, is simultaneously home, highway, and hunting implement. At the opposite extreme of temperature tolerance, hourglass dolphins brave the waters around Antarctica, where surface temperatures plunge to -2 degrees Celsius and ice forms a glittering ceiling above their heads. These are the polar specialists, their bodies insulated with blubber thick enough to maintain core temperatures in water that would kill most mammals within minutes. They feed on krill and small fish in seas so cold that their breath creates instant clouds when they surface, ghostly exhalations in a landscape of ice and endless sky. Perhaps most mysterious of all are the beaked dolphins, creatures so elusive that some species are known from only a handful of sightings. These are the deep-sea specialists, diving 3,000 feet into abyssal darkness where pressure would crush human lungs in seconds. In this alien realm of perpetual night, they hunt squid and deep-sea fish using echolocation so sophisticated it makes military sonar seem primitive by comparison. The Cuvier's beaked dolphin holds the current diving record, escaping to depths of nearly 10,000 feet and staying submerged for over 3 hours. At such depths, their lungs collapse completely, their heart rate drops to a few beats per minute, and they navigate by sound alone through a world of eternal midnight. When they finally surface, gasping in the sunlight, they carry with them secrets from the deepest parts of our planet's last frontier. In every ocean, in every sea, from Arctic ice to tropical coral reefs, dolphins have found ways to thrive. The Ganges River dolphins, blind in the muddy waters of the Indian subcontinent, navigate entirely by echolocation. The false killer whales, despite their name, are actually large dolphins that form family bonds lasting decades. The rough-toothed dolphins hunt tuna alongside fishing fleets, learning to read human behavior as easily as they read currents and tides. Each species tells a story of adaptation, of evolution, fine-tuning life to exploit every possible niche in the aquatic realm. From the 4-foot Hector's dolphin to the 30-foot killer whale, technically the largest dolphin species, these creatures have diversified into forms that challenge our understanding of what it means to be a marine mammal. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this diversity is not the differences between species, but the similarities that unite them. Whether they swim in tropical lagoons or polar seas, whether they hunt in crystal-clear water or muddy rivers, all dolphins share certain characteristics that speak to their common heritage. They are all born tail first to prevent drowning during birth. They all produce milk with a fat content that would make heavy cream seem watery. They all sleep with one hemisphere of their brain awake, maintaining awareness even in rest. And they all possess that indefinable quality that humans recognize instantly, intelligence that sparkles behind their eyes, curiosity about the world around them, and something that can only be called personality. Each individual dolphin, regardless of species, is as unique as a human fingerprint, with its own preferences, its own learned behaviors, its own relationships within the pod. As we map these 90 species across 7 seas, we begin to understand that we share our planet with creatures whose mastery of 3-dimensional space exceeds our own, whose sensory abilities surpass our comprehension, and whose societies function with a complexity that challenges our definitions of civilization itself. They are not simply animals sharing our oceans, they are fellow travelers on the journey of consciousness, exploring the mysteries of existence through pathways as different from ours as water is from air. In their liquid highways and hidden kingdoms, dolphins have created a parallel civilization that operates by rules we're only beginning to decode. Tomorrow, we'll dive deeper into the greatest mystery of all, the ocean-sized minds that guide these remarkable creatures through their underwater universe. In 1961, in a sterile laboratory that smelled of antiseptic and ambition, neuroscientist John Lilly carefully placed electrodes into the brain of a bottlenose dolphin. What he discovered in that moment would shake the very foundations of how we understand intelligence on Earth. The brain beneath his instruments possessed more cortical folds than a human brain, intricate convolutions that suggested cognitive abilities we were only beginning to fathom. Picture the shock of that revelation. For centuries, humans had considered themselves the pinnacle of terrestrial intelligence, the sole architects of complex thought on our planet. Yet here was evidence of neural complexity that rivaled and perhaps exceeded our own, housed within creatures that had been swimming in our oceans for 50 million years, while we were still learning to walk upright on African savannas. The dolphin brain that Lilly examined was not merely large, it was architecturally sophisticated in ways that challenged every assumption about the relationship between brain structure and intelligence. The cerebral cortex, that wrinkled outer layer where consciousness presumably resides, showed folding patterns of extraordinary complexity. If intelligence could be measured by neural real estate, these marine mammals were operating with more processing power than the species that had presumed to study them. But the real breakthrough in understanding dolphin cognition came not from electrodes or brain scans, but from a simple mirror placed in a research pool by Diana Rice in the 1990s. When dolphins encountered their own reflections, something remarkable happened. They recognized themselves not as other dolphins, but as themselves. They would twist and turn to examine parts of their bodies they couldn't normally see, using the mirror as a tool for self-inspection. Even more astonishing was the speed of this recognition. Human children typically achieve mirror self-recognition at around 18 months of age, a milestone considered crucial in the development of self-awareness. Dolphins accomplish this same cognitive feat at 7 months old, nearly 3 times faster than our own species. This wasn't merely pattern recognition or conditioned response. This was consciousness, recognizing itself, mind contemplating mind in a moment of pure metacognition. At the Roatan Institute in Honduras, researchers made another discovery that revolutionized our understanding of dolphin identity. Each dolphin, they learned, creates its own signature whistle, a unique acoustic pattern that functions like a name. During their first year of life, young dolphins experiment with different sound combinations until they settle on a pattern that no other dolphin shares. This acoustic fingerprint becomes their identifier for life, a sound-based signature that allows individuals to maintain contact across miles of ocean. Listen, if you will, to the underwater conversations of a dolphin pod. Beneath the surface chaos of clicks, whistles, and burst pulse sounds lies a sophisticated communication system that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. A mother calls her calf with a signature whistle specific to that relationship. The young dolphin responds with its own developing acoustic identity. Meanwhile, other pod members exchange information about food sources, potential dangers, and social dynamics through vocalizations so complex that we've barely begun to decode their meaning. But perhaps the most profound discovery about dolphin intelligence emerged from the clear waters of Australia's Shark Bay, where researchers documented something unprecedented in the animal kingdom, the first confirmed example of non-human culture. Here, Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins have developed a technique so specific, so learned, and so passed down through generations that it can only be called cultural tradition. The behavior is elegantly simple and cognitively complex. Before foraging on sandy bottoms where sharp shells and stinging creatures lurk, certain dolphins carefully select barrel sponges, manipulating them onto their rostrums like protective gloves. Thus equipped, they can probe the seafloor safely, accessing food sources that would otherwise injure their sensitive beaks. What makes this behavior truly remarkable is not the tool use itself, but how it's transmitted. This sponging technique passes exclusively from mother to daughter, a matrilineal tradition that has persisted for at least 180 years. Daughters learn by watching their mothers, practicing the careful selection of appropriate sponges, mastering the precise manipulation required to fit these living tools onto their beaks. Sons, meanwhile, rarely if ever adopt this behavior, suggesting that dolphin culture includes gender-specific traditions as complex as any human society. The implications of this discovery ripple outward like waves from a dropped stone. If dolphins possess culture, the ability to learn, modify, and transmit behaviors across generations, then we must radically expand our understanding of what separates human from non-human intelligence. Culture was supposed to be our unique domain, the defining characteristic that elevated us above the animal kingdom. Yet here, in the sun-dappled waters of an Australian bay, dolphins were proving that the capacity for cultural evolution extends far beyond our species. Brain scans of sleeping dolphins revealed yet another astonishing adaptation that challenges our understanding of consciousness itself. Unlike virtually every other mammal on Earth, dolphins never fully sleep. Instead, they rest one hemisphere of their brain at a time, while the other remains alert and aware. This means that for their entire 40-year lifespan, dolphins maintain some level of consciousness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year after year, without interruption. Imagine the implications of such perpetual awareness. While humans spend 1/3 of their lives in unconscious oblivion, dolphins experience an unbroken stream of consciousness from birth to death. They witness every sunrise, feel every current change, remain alert to every opportunity and danger. They are, in the most literal sense, more awake than we are, creatures of continuous consciousness, sailing through an ocean of awareness we can barely comprehend. Memory tests conducted with captive dolphins produced results that stunned researchers. These marine mammals could remember the signature whistles of pod members after 20 years of separation, longer than many human friendships last. Dolphins reunited after decades apart would immediately recognize each other's acoustic signatures, resuming relationships and social bonds as if no time had passed. Their social memory spans not just years but decades, maintaining a web of relationships that stretches across thousands of miles of ocean. In laboratory settings, dolphins demonstrated problem-solving abilities that seemed to bend the rules of animal cognition. They learned to use symbolic language, associating arbitrary gestures with specific objects or actions. They grasped concepts of sequence and syntax, understanding that the order of symbols mattered as much as the symbols themselves. Some individuals showed evidence of planning and foresight, saving food for later consumption or preparing tools in advance of when they would be needed. Perhaps most intriguingly, dolphins displayed something that can only be called creativity. Given novel problems to solve, they would often invent solutions that surprised their human observers. They seemed to enjoy the mental challenge of puzzles, approaching difficult tasks with what appeared to be enthusiasm rather than mere hunger for reward. Play behavior in dolphins extends well into adulthood, suggesting that learning and exploration remain priorities throughout their lives. The study of dolphin intelligence has forced us to confront uncomfortable questions about our own assumptions regarding consciousness and cognition. If these marine mammals possess self-awareness, culture, complex communication, and problem-solving abilities that rival our own, What does this say about the uniqueness we've claimed for human intelligence? If consciousness can evolve along completely different pathways, aquatic rather than terrestrial, acoustic rather than visual, collaborative rather than competitive, then perhaps intelligence itself is far more diverse and widespread than we ever imagined. Modern neuroscience has revealed that the dolphin brain is not simply a larger version of other mammalian brains, but represents a fundamentally different approach to organizing consciousness. Where human brains excel at sequential processing and symbolic manipulation, dolphin brains appear optimized for parallel processing and acoustic pattern recognition. They experience the world through senses we can barely comprehend, building their understanding of reality from sound waves and pressure changes, rather than light and color. Yet for all our scientific advances, we've only scratched the surface of dolphin intelligence. Every study raises more questions than it answers. How do dolphins process the vast amounts of acoustic information they gather through echolocation? What are they communicating about in their complex vocalizations? How do they make group decisions involving hundreds of individuals? Do they possess concepts of past and future, of self and other, of life and death? The more we learn about dolphin minds, the more we realize how little we truly understand. We are like early explorers who have glimpsed the coastline of a vast continent, mapping only the most obvious features, while the interior remains terra incognita. The ocean of dolphin consciousness stretches before us, deep and largely unexplored, holding secrets that may transform our understanding of intelligence, awareness, and what it means to be a thinking being in an infinite universe. As we prepare to dive deeper into the relationships between human and dolphin consciousness, we carry with us the humbling knowledge that we share our planet with minds as complex and mysterious as our own minds, that have been exploring the mysteries of existence through entirely different pathways for millions of years. In their ocean-sized intelligence, we may find not just answers about them, but revelations about the very nature of consciousness itself. In the small fishing village of Laguna, Brazil, something extraordinary happens every day that defies everything we thought we knew about the boundaries between species. For over 100 years, wild bottlenose dolphins and local fishermen have perfected a partnership so precise, so mutually beneficial, that it reads like fiction. Yet this is no fairy tale, this is evolution in action. Two intelligent species learning to trust, communicate, and prosper together. Watch as the scene unfolds in the early morning light. Fishermen wade into the murky waters of the Tremandai estuary, their throw nets folded and ready. They stand motionless in water, up to their waists, waiting. Then, like clockwork, the dolphins arrive. Not one or two, but entire pods of wild cetaceans who have learned to coordinate their hunting with human schedules and human needs. The dolphins begin their work, herding schools of mullet toward the waiting fishermen with the precision of experienced shepherds. They drive the fish closer and closer to shore, compacting the silver masses into tight, panicked balls. Then comes the moment that makes this partnership truly remarkable, the signal. A dolphin breaks the surface and performs a distinctive head slap against the water, a sound that carries clearly through the humid air. This is the cue, understood by every fisherman in Laguna, to cast their nets. The timing must be perfect. Cast too early, and the fish escape. Cast too late, and the opportunity is lost. But when the collaboration works, and it works with stunning regularity, both species benefit. The fishermen haul in nets heavy with mullet, while the dolphins feast on the fish that scatter during the netting process. Neither species could achieve such hunting success alone. Together, they have created a partnership that has endured for over a century, passed down from dolphin parent to offspring, from human father to son. This is not random behavior or lucky coincidence. This is interspecies cooperation of the highest order, requiring dolphins to understand human behavior patterns and fishermen to interpret dolphin signals. The dolphins have learned to read human body language, recognizing which fishermen are experienced partners and which are newcomers to the collaboration. The humans, in turn, have learned to distinguish the feeding signals of different individual dolphins, recognizing that each animal has its own signature head slap pattern. From Brazil's coast, travel with me across the world to New Zealand's treacherous Cook Strait, where another dolphin partnership became the stuff of maritime legend. For 24 years, from 1888 to 1912, Ariso's dolphin named Pelorus Jack guided ships through the dangerous waters between the North and South Islands. This was no casual escort service. This was a deliberate, sustained effort by a single dolphin to ensure the safe passage of human vessels through one of the world's most hazardous waterways. Pelorus Jack would meet ships at the entrance to the strait, then swim ahead of them, showing captains the safest route through the swirling currents and hidden rocks. His guidance was so reliable, so consistently accurate, that shipping companies began advertising the dolphin escort as a feature of their service. Passengers would crowd the rails, eager to witness this remarkable guide who seemed to understand the responsibility he had undertaken for human lives. The bond between Pelorus Jack and the human community became so significant that in 1904 he became the first individual marine animal protected by law. When someone tried to shoot him from a ship's deck, public outrage led to legislation making it illegal to harm the dolphin who had saved countless human lives. Pelorus Jack had become more than a navigation aid, he had become a bridge between species, proof that wild animals could choose to help humans not out of conditioning or training, but from something that could only be called benevolence. In the crystalline waters of the Red Sea, marine biologist Dr. Denise Hertzing experienced a different kind of dolphin partnership that would change her life forever. A wild bottlenose dolphin she named Olin approached her during a research dive and began what would become a 15-year friendship. Olin learned to recognize Dr. Hertzing's heartbeat from hundreds of yards away, distinguishing her cardiac rhythm from those of other divers and swimming directly to greet her whenever she entered the water. Their relationship evolved with the complexity of human friendship. Olin would bring Dr. Hertzing gifts, unusual shells, pieces of coral, sometimes fish that he would drop near her before swimming away as if embarrassed by his own generosity. During Dr. Hertzing's pregnancies, Olin's behavior changed dramatically. He would position himself protectively near her, seeming to sense the vulnerability of her condition. When she gave birth and returned to the water months later, Olin approached with what appeared to be curiosity about the changes in her body, gently investigating her with echolocation clicks that felt like a medical examination. The implications of such sustained interspecies relationships challenge our understanding of dolphin social cognition. These marine mammals appear capable of forming genuine friendships with humans, relationships characterized by recognition, loyalty, and what can only be described as affection. They remember individual humans across years of separation, adjust their behavior based on human emotional states, and seem to derive pleasure from interactions that offer no obvious survival benefit. During World War II, the United States Navy discovered another dimension of dolphin-human partnership when they began training cetaceans for military purposes. The dolphins proved extraordinarily capable at detecting underwater mines, their echolocation abilities far surpassing any human-designed sonar system. They could distinguish between different types of metal, identify buried objects in sandy bottoms, and locate threats that would have claimed human lives. But something unexpected happened during these military training programs. The dolphins, despite intensive conditioning and careful management, would frequently abandon their assigned duties to play with wild pods passing through the area. They would remove their equipment, ignore their handlers' signals, and swim away to socialize with their own kind. When they returned, and they usually did return, they seemed refreshed, recharged by contact with their natural communities. These incidents revealed something profound about dolphin psychology. Even when well-fed, well-cared for, and positively reinforced for military tasks, they remained fundamentally wild. Their primary loyalty was not to their human handlers but to their own species, their own need for social connection and play. They could be trained, but not owned. They could be partners, but not property. Perhaps the most mysterious dolphin-human partnerships occur in therapy pools around the world, where autistic children who haven't spoken in years suddenly begin vocalizing after encounters with dolphins. The mechanism behind these breakthroughs remains largely unexplained, but researchers theorize that dolphin echolocation, those ultrasonic clicks and whistles, may somehow stimulate dormant neural pathways in the human brain. Watch as a nonverbal child enters the water with a therapy dolphin. The animal approaches slowly, deliberately, positioning itself near the child and beginning a series of soft echolocation clicks. The sound waves penetrate the child's body, creating sensations unlike anything in the terrestrial world. Sometimes, inexplicably, the child responds not with words at first, but with vocalizations, attempts at communication that bridge the gap between species. These interactions suggest that dolphins may possess an intuitive understanding of human neurological differences, an ability to perceive and respond to conditions that challenge our own medical understanding. Whether through echolocation, electromagnetic sensitivity, or some other sense we haven't yet identified, dolphins seem capable of detecting and responding to human neurological states with precision that borders on the supernatural. In Ireland's Dingle Bay, a wild bottlenose dolphin named Fungi maintained relationships with humans for 37 years, longer than many marriages last. Fungi learned to recognize specific boats, greeting favorite vessels with personalized jumping displays while ignoring others. He developed preferences for certain individuals, allowing some swimmers to approach closely while maintaining distance from others. Local boat operators learned his moods and habits so well that they could predict his behavior with remarkable accuracy. Fungi's longevity and consistent friendliness toward humans made him a beloved fixture of the Irish coast, attracting visitors from around the world who wanted to experience interspecies friendship firsthand. Children who met Fungi as toddlers would return as adults with their own children, finding the dolphin still playful, still welcoming, still eager to bridge the gap between land and sea consciousness. These stories of partnership reveal something fundamental about dolphin nature, an openness to connection that transcends species boundaries. Despite centuries of hunting, capture, and exploitation by humans, dolphins approach us with consistent curiosity and, often, genuine friendliness. They seem to judge each encounter on its own merits rather than carrying grudges for the actions of our species as a whole. The dance of trust between humans and dolphins continues to evolve, teaching us that intelligence can recognize intelligence regardless of the form it takes. In their willingness to partner with us, whether in fishing, navigation, therapy, or simple companionship, dolphins offer a model of interspecies cooperation that could transform how we relate to all the non-human intelligences sharing our planet. As we stand at the threshold of understanding dolphin consciousness, these partnerships serve as bridges between worlds, proof that the boundaries we imagine between species are more permeable than we ever dared hope. In learning to trust dolphins, we begin to see ourselves reflected in their ocean-sized minds, discovering that consciousness creates connections that transcend the differences between water and air, between echolocation and vision, between human and dolphin ways of being alive in an astonishing universe. Inside the sleek body of every dolphin swimming through our oceans lies a collection of abilities so extraordinary that nature seems to have suspended its own rules. These are not merely adaptations. These are biological technologies that push the boundaries of what we thought possible in living organisms, capabilities that challenge our understanding of physics, physiology, and the very limits of organic engineering. Consider first their mastery of sound itself. A dolphin's echolocation system generates acoustic clicks at 230 decibels louder than a rocket launch, more intense than standing next to a jet engine at full throttle. Yet these same sound waves can be focused with such precision that a dolphin can detect a vitamin tablet from 75 feet away, distinguish between metals by density alone, or locate a specific fish hiding among hundreds in a coral reef. It is as if they possess biological sonar that makes our most sophisticated technology seem primitive by comparison. The mechanics of this acoustic mastery defy easy explanation. Deep within their bulbous foreheads, dolphins possess a structure called the melon, a lens made of lipids that can change shape at will, focusing sound waves with the precision of a telescope focusing light. These focused beams penetrate sand to find buried fish, probe the internal structure of objects to determine their composition, and create acoustic images so detailed that dolphins can see the swim bladders of fish, the air-filled lungs of marine mammals, even the bones inside other animals' bodies. But perhaps most remarkably, dolphins can echolocate on each other, using sound waves to peer inside their podmates' bodies. A pregnant female becomes transparent to her companion's acoustic vision, her developing calf visible to the entire group. Injuries, illnesses, even emotional states register in the acoustic signatures that dolphins constantly exchange. They live in a world where privacy is impossible, where the internal state of every individual is literally visible to the community through sound. When dolphins dive, they perform biological alchemy that transforms their entire physiology. Their hearts, which beat at 120 times per minute at the surface, voluntarily slow to just 10 beats per minute as they descend. Blood flow redirects away from non-essential organs, concentrating in the brain and heart while muscles begin operating on stored oxygen. Their lungs, rather than fighting the increasing pressure, collapse completely, a controlled implosion that prevents nitrogen narcosis and allows dives to depths that would be fatal to rigid-lunged mammals. At 3,000 feet below the surface, where pressure exceeds 90 times sea level and eternal darkness reigns, dolphins hunt with the same grace they display in shallow lagoons. Their collapsed lungs present no air to be compressed, their slowed hearts conserve precious oxygen, and their acoustic abilities allow them to navigate and hunt in environments where human technology fails completely. They are living submarines, biological vehicles designed for three-dimensional flight through liquid space. The healing abilities of dolphins border on the supernatural. Shark attacks that would prove fatal to most marine mammals become minor inconveniences for these remarkable creatures. Deep puncture wounds inflicted by predator teeth heal without infection, despite being bathed in bacteria-laden seawater. Even more astonishing, they regenerate without scarring, their skin reforming with such perfection that within months no trace of injury remains. Recent research has revealed that dolphin skin harbors antibacterial and antiviral properties that function like a living pharmacy. Their epidermis contains compounds that actively fight infection while promoting rapid cellular regeneration. The stem cells embedded in their skin possess remarkable plasticity, capable of differentiating into whatever tissue types are needed for repair. If we could unlock and replicate these healing mechanisms, we might revolutionize human medicine, creating treatments that harness the body's own repair systems with dolphin-like efficiency. Navigation represents another realm where dolphins demonstrate abilities that challenge our understanding of sensory perception. Magnetite crystals embedded in their brains detect Earth's magnetic field with compass-like precision, allowing them to orient themselves relative to magnetic north even in the featureless expanse of open ocean. But their navigational toolkit extends far beyond magnetic sensitivity. Dolphins can sense water pressure changes that indicate underwater mountains and ocean currents from 50 miles away. They read temperature gradients invisible to our instruments, interpreting thermal layers that reveal the movement of water masses across entire ocean basins. Some researchers theorize that dolphins may even detect gravitational anomalies caused by underwater geological features, using the Earth's own gravitational field as a navigation reference. These sensory capabilities combine to create a perception of the ocean that bears little resemblance to human experience. Where we see empty blue water, dolphins perceive a rich landscape of acoustic landmarks, magnetic signposts, and thermal highways. They navigate not by following routes, but by reading the three-dimensional structure of the ocean itself, interpreting environmental cues that create mental maps of extraordinary sophistication. In research facilities around the world, dolphins have demonstrated problem-solving abilities that suggest cognitive processes we're only beginning to understand. They create tools from available materials, fashioning sponges into foraging implements, learning to use human-provided objects in ways their inventors never intended. They show evidence of insight, learning the sudden understanding of solutions without trial and error, experimentation that characterizes the highest forms of intelligence. More mysteriously, dolphins in captivity have been observed engaging in what appears to be healing behavior, directing focused echolocation clicks at injured areas of other dolphins' bodies. The targeted animals often show improved healing rates, suggesting that sound waves might somehow stimulate cellular repair mechanisms. While the scientific community remains divided on whether this represents intentional healing or coincidental behavior, the observations raise tantalizing questions about dolphin understanding of their own echolocation abilities. The social implications of dolphin sensory abilities create communities unlike anything in the terrestrial world. When a pod member is injured, the entire group immediately knows the extent and location of the damage through echolocation. When a female becomes pregnant, her condition is visible to all. When an individual is stressed, sick, or dying, these states register in acoustic signatures that the community can perceive and respond to. This acoustic transparency creates social bonds of unprecedented intimacy. Dolphins literally share their internal experiences with their pod mates, creating empathic connections based on direct perception rather than interpretation. They cannot hide their emotions, cannot lie about their physical condition, cannot maintain the psychological barriers that characterize much of human social interaction. They live in a state of radical honesty, enforced by the very senses that define their existence. The energetics of dolphin physiology reveal efficiency that makes human engineering seem wasteful by comparison. Their streamlined bodies move through water with minimal energy expenditure, their swimming motions generating thrust through, harmonic oscillations that capture energy from their own bow waves. They breathe with conscious intent rather than autonomic reflex, maximizing oxygen uptake through voluntary control of respiration that allows them to hold their breath for extraordinary durations. Even their sleep represents a biological innovation that challenges our assumptions about consciousness and rest. By resting one brain hemisphere at a time, dolphins maintain awareness while allowing neural recovery, creating a form of consciousness that never fully shuts down. They sleep while swimming, maintaining forward motion, and surfacing to breathe even while half their brain recovers from the day's activities. Perhaps most profoundly, dolphins appear to possess temporal perception different from our own. Their echolocation operates at acoustic frequencies that compress time perception, allowing them to process environmental changes at speeds that make their world effectively slow motion compared to human experience. They may literally live faster than we do, experiencing more moments of consciousness in a single hour than humans experience in the same time frame. As we study these biological marvels, we begin to understand that dolphins represent not just evolutionary success, but evolutionary artistry. They are living proof that intelligence can manifest through pathways radically different from our own, that consciousness can flower in forms we never imagined possible. Their abilities remind us that life on Earth has been conducting experiments in awareness, perception, and biological engineering for millions of years, creating solutions to the challenges of existence that exceed our current technological capabilities. In their extraordinary powers, we glimpse the potential that lies dormant within biological systems, the possibilities that emerge when evolution has millions of years to perfect its designs. They are teachers from the deep, showing us that the boundaries of the possible extend far beyond our current understanding, that the ocean of life's potential remains largely unexplored, waiting for minds curious enough to dive beneath the surface of the obvious and discover the miraculous that swims just beneath our awareness. Every 13 minutes, somewhere in Earth's vast oceans, a dolphin dies entangled in fishing nets designed for other species. Picture that heartbreaking rhythm, the time it takes you to prepare a cup of tea, to check your email, to walk around the block, and in that brief span, another of these remarkable minds falls silent forever. Over 300,000 dolphins and small whales perish annually as bycatch, victims of humanity's industrial harvest of the seas. The numbers tell a story of staggering loss. Each death represents not just the end of an individual life, but the erasure of accumulated knowledge-hunting techniques learned over decades, social relationships spanning generations, acoustic traditions passed down through families like underwater heirlooms. When a dolphin dies in a fishing net, we lose a library, a teacher, a bridge between the aquatic world and our own understanding of consciousness itself. Nowhere is this crisis more stark than in Mexico's Gulf of California, where the vaquita porpoise, smallest of all cetaceans, dwindles toward extinction with mathematical precision. Fewer than 10 individuals remain of a species that once numbered in the thousands. Each vaquita lost brings their kind closer to joining the dodo, the passenger pigeon, and countless other species that have vanished into the silence of extinction through human action. The vaquita's decline reads like a thriller written in slow motion. These shy, elusive porpoises became collateral damage in the illegal trade for totoaba fish, whose swim bladders are prized in Chinese traditional medicine. Gill nets set for totoaba trap vaquitas underwater, where they drown within minutes. Despite international pressure, protected status, and desperate conservation efforts, the nets continue to claim the few remaining individuals of a species that evolution spent millions of years perfecting. Yet even as some species spiral toward extinction, others offer hope that illuminates the path forward. In the muddy waters of the Ganges and Indus rivers, where pollution and dam construction once drove river dolphins to the brink of disappearance, remarkable recoveries are taking place. The secret lies not in technology or legislation alone, but in transforming the relationship between local communities and the cetaceans sharing their waters. In India and Pakistan, former fishermen have become dolphin guardians, their intimate knowledge of river systems and dolphin behavior making them irreplaceable allies in conservation efforts. These men, who once saw dolphins as competitors for fish, now understand them as indicators of river health, living symbols of ecosystem vitality. They guide researchers to dolphin-gathering areas, report threats and injuries, and educate their communities about the importance of protecting these ancient creatures. The transformation from hunter to protector represents one of conservation's most powerful tools, the conversion of traditional knowledge into conservation action. When local communities become stakeholders rather than adversaries, when protecting wildlife becomes economically beneficial rather than costly, species can recover with surprising speed. In Australia's Moreton Bay, marine biologists have pioneered an innovative approach to protecting dolphins from shark nets, underwater speakers that broadcast warning signals when dolphins approach dangerous areas. These acoustic deterrents work because they speak to dolphins in their own language, using sound frequencies that communicate danger without disrupting natural behavior patterns. The technology represents a perfect marriage of scientific understanding and practical conservation, protecting both dolphins and human beachgoers without requiring the deadly nets that claim so many marine lives. Meanwhile, in Japan, a remarkable cultural transformation is taking place. In the coastal town of Taiji, once infamous for its annual dolphin drives, former dolphin hunters are becoming whale-watching guides. Their detailed knowledge of cetacean behavior knowledge gained through generations of hunting now serves to bring tourists close to wild dolphins and whales without harming them. The economic benefits of watching living dolphins far exceed the short-term profits from killing them, creating sustainable livelihoods that depend on healthy marine ecosystems. This shift from exploitation to appreciation reflects a growing global understanding that living whales and dolphins are worth far more than dead ones. A single whale-watching trip generates more revenue than selling whale meat, and that same whale can provide economic benefits for decades rather than one-time profit. The mathematics of conservation increasingly favor protection over destruction. Satellite tracking technology has revolutionized our understanding of dolphin migration patterns, revealing superhighways of the sea that require international protection. These corridors, some stretching across entire ocean basins, carry migrating dolphins along routes used since before humans walked upright. The discoveries have prompted the creation of marine protected areas that transcend national boundaries, recognizing that dolphin conservation requires thinking on oceanic scales. In the Mediterranean Sea, the establishment of the Pelagos Sanctuary, a protected area spanning waters of France, Italy, and Monaco, has created safe passage for dolphins, whales, and other marine life. Within just 15 years of protection, dolphin populations have tripled, demonstrating the remarkable resilience of marine ecosystems when given the chance to recover. Young dolphins born in these sanctuaries display behaviors unknown to their parents' innovative hunting techniques, new play patterns, and social interactions that suggest rapid cultural evolution when freed from the constant pressure of human interference. Perhaps most encouraging, these protected dolphins are teaching us that cultural evolution in cetaceans can occur within single generations. Young animals, free to explore and experiment in safe environments, develop novel behaviors that spread through their communities with remarkable speed. They are adapting to changing ocean conditions, learning to communicate over increased background noise from shipping, and finding new food sources as climate change alters marine ecosystems. The success stories, emerging from marine protected areas, provide blueprints for global dolphin conservation. When we reduce fishing pressure, control pollution, and limit underwater noise, dolphin populations can recover with stunning rapidity. The challenge lies not in knowing what works, but in implementing these solutions on the vast scales required to address threats that span entire oceans. Climate change presents perhaps the greatest long-term challenge to dolphin conservation. Rising ocean temperatures alter the distribution of prey species, while increasing acidity disrupts the marine food web from its foundations. Yet dolphins demonstrate remarkable adaptability, shifting their ranges as temperatures change, modifying their hunting strategies as prey distributions shift, and teaching their young new survival skills in real-time evolutionary responses to environmental change. In the Arctic, where warming temperatures are opening new marine territories, dolphins are expanding their ranges northward into waters previously locked under ice. These pioneers are exploring virgin hunting grounds, establishing new territories, and adapting their behaviors to conditions their ancestors never experienced. They represent the leading edge of marine ecosystem response to our changing planet. The tools for dolphin conservation exist: marine protected areas, acoustic deterrents, sustainable fishing practices, and international cooperation agreements. What remains is the will to implement these solutions on scales commensurate with the challenges we face. The dolphins swimming in our oceans today carry within their genes the accumulated wisdom of 50 million years of evolution. They are living repositories of biological innovation, social complexity, and cognitive abilities that could inform our understanding of consciousness itself. Every dolphin saved represents not just a victory for conservation, but the preservation of knowledge systems we're only beginning to decode. In their complex societies, their acoustic traditions, their problem-solving abilities, and their remarkable capacity for interspecies cooperation, dolphins offer lessons about sustainable living, community cooperation, and the deep intelligence that emerges from millions of years of evolutionary refinement. The race against extinction continues in every ocean, every river, every coastal waters where dolphins and humans share the same blue spaces. But the growing success stories, from recovering river dolphins to thriving marine sanctuaries, prove that this race can be won. The question is not whether we possess the knowledge and tools to save these remarkable creatures, but whether we possess the wisdom to apply them before the silence of extinction claims Earth's most sophisticated marine minds. In every protected dolphin, in every recovered population, in every successful conservation program, we see reflected our own capacity for transformation. Just as dolphins evolved from land to sea over millions of years, we are learning to evolve from destroyers to protectors of the ocean's wisdom keepers. The tides of change are turning, and in their rhythm, we hear the heartbeat of hope for a future where human and dolphin destinies remain forever intertwined. In laboratories scattered across 6 continents, scientists peer into microscopes and computer screens, studying the elegant curves of dolphin echolocation to design ultrasound treatments that could destroy tumors without a single surgical incision. The dolphins swimming in our oceans today carry within their biology the blueprints for medical technologies that could revolutionize human healthcare, engineering solutions refined across 50 million years of evolutionary research and development. Their sonar capabilities inspire new forms of medical imaging that surpass our current technologies in both precision and safety. Where human-designed ultrasound requires external machines and trained operators, dolphins demonstrate how biological systems can integrate sensing, processing, and response into seamless wholes. They are living proof that the most sophisticated technologies often emerge not from human invention, but from patient observation of life's own innovations. The streamlined perfection of dolphin bodies guides naval architects designing submarines that glide silently through the depths, using 90% less energy than current vessels. Every curve of their form represents millions of years of hydrodynamic testing, evolution's wind tunnel, producing shapes that minimize drag while maximizing efficiency. The secret lies not merely in copying their external form, but in understanding the principles that govern their movement, how they harness energy from water itself, how they achieve thrust through movements that seem almost effortless. But the most profound lessons dolphins offer humanity extend far beyond technological applications. In their societies, we find models for sustainable living that could transform how our species relates to the resources of our planet. For 50 million years, dolphins have practiced fishing techniques that take only what they need, leaving breeding populations intact and ecosystems balanced. They demonstrate that intelligence can choose restraint over excess, cooperation over competition, long-term thinking over short-term gain. Watch a pod of dolphins hunting cooperatively, each individual playing a specific role in strategies that ensure every member feeds while preserving fish populations for future hunts. They are master practitioners of what we might call sustainable abundance, the understanding that true wealth comes not from depleting resources, but from maintaining the systems that generate those resources across time. Their social structures function as floating universities, where knowledge passes through generations in an unbroken chain of learning. Each dolphin is simultaneously student and teacher, learning from elders while passing innovations to the young. They have created educational systems that preserve traditional knowledge while encouraging innovation, societies that value both wisdom and creativity in ways that ensure cultural evolution never stops. Consider the implications of their acoustic transparency societies, where individual, emotional, and physical states are visible to the entire community through echolocation. In dolphin pods, suffering cannot be hidden, illness cannot be concealed, and emotional distress automatically triggers community support. They have solved problems of empathy and mutual aid that human societies struggle with despite our technological sophistication. As climate change transforms Earth's oceans, dolphins demonstrate adaptability that could inform our own responses to environmental disruption. They shift hunting grounds as temperatures rise, modify vocalizations to penetrate increasingly noisy waters, and teach their young survival strategies that their own parents never needed. They embody evolutionary flexibility, showing us that adaptation requires not rigid adherence to tradition, but the wisdom to preserve essential knowledge while embracing necessary change. Rising ocean temperatures and increasing acidity present challenges that dolphins have faced before in their evolutionary history. During past climate changes, they adapted by developing new hunting techniques, expanding into different habitats, and forming new social alliances. They are teaching us real-time lessons about resilience, demonstrating that survival often depends not on resisting change, but on flowing with it while maintaining core strengths. Their acoustic cultures are evolving to cope with anthropogenic noise pollution as shipping traffic increases and industrial activities expand into previously quiet waters. Young dolphins are learning to communicate over longer ranges, developing new vocal patterns that cut through mechanical noise and creating acoustic traditions adapted to a noisier ocean. They are literally evolving culture faster than we can study it, showing us that intelligence can respond to environmental challenges with creativity and innovation. Perhaps most remarkably, dolphins approach humans with consistent curiosity and kindness, despite centuries of hunting, capture, and exploitation by our species. They seem capable of judging each encounter on its own merits, rather than carrying species-wide grudges for historical wrongs. This capacity for forgiveness offers profound lessons for human societies, struggling with intergenerational trauma and the cycles of violence that plague our own communities. In their perpetual smiles, those upturned rostrums that evolution shaped for hydrodynamic efficiency, but that appear to human eyes as expressions of joy, we find something our species desperately needs to rediscover. Dolphins have chosen happiness as a survival strategy, integrating play and joy so thoroughly into their lives that the distinction between work and pleasure becomes meaningless. They hunt with enthusiasm, travel with apparent delight, and engage with their world from a foundation of curiosity rather than fear. Their sleep patterns reveal something profound about consciousness itself. By resting one brain, the hemisphere at a time, dolphins never fully lose awareness, never completely disconnect from the wonder of existence. They sleep with one eye open not from paranoia or anxiety, but to ensure they never miss the extraordinary experience of being alive in an infinite universe. They have made continuous consciousness not a burden but a gift, remaining perpetually available to the beauty and mystery that surrounds them. This approach to awareness offers guidance for human consciousness trapped in cycles of distraction and disconnection. Dolphins remind us that attention itself might be the most precious resource we possess, that the quality of our consciousness determines the quality of our experience more than any external circumstances. Modern neuroscience studying dolphin brains reveals cognitive architectures optimized for parallel processing, acoustic pattern recognition, and social coordination on scales that challenge our understanding of individual versus collective intelligence. Some researchers theorize that dolphin pods might function as distributed cognitive systems, individual brains networked through acoustic communication into larger thinking entities. If true, they may have achieved forms of collective consciousness that represent the next stage in intelligence evolution. Their demonstrated abilities to heal each other through directed echolocation suggest understanding of biological systems that could revolutionize medicine. They appear to comprehend the relationship between sound and cellular function in ways that medical science is only beginning to explore. In their healing behaviors, we may find keys to unlocking the regenerative potential that lies dormant within all biological systems. The magnetic navigation abilities of dolphins, their capacity to read Earth's magnetic field as easily as we read street signs, point towards sensory capabilities that could inform new technologies for navigation and communication. They have solved the problem of guidance across vast, featureless expanses by learning to perceive the invisible forces that structure our planet. In their magnetic sense, we glimpse possibilities for human enhancement that could extend our own sensory reach into realms currently invisible to us. As we stand at the threshold of an uncertain future, facing challenges that require new forms of intelligence, new models of cooperation, and new relationships with the natural world, dolphins offer themselves as teachers and guides. They have survived ice ages and warming periods, asteroid impacts and volcanic catastrophes, adapting and thriving through changes that eliminated countless other species. In their ocean-sized minds, we find reflections of possibilities we have barely begun to explore. They are living libraries of biological innovation, social wisdom, and cognitive flexibility, accumulated across geological time. Every dolphin swimming in our seas today carries within its neural networks solutions to problems we haven't yet learned to ask, answers to questions about consciousness, cooperation, and sustainable living that could transform human civilization. They sleep with one eye open, not from fear, but from wonder, eternal sentinels of awareness, guardians of the ocean's memory, bridges between the world as it is and the world as it could be. In their example, we find not just hope for their survival, but inspiration for our own transformation into beings worthy of sharing this blue planet with Earth's most sophisticated marine minds. The spiral of evolution that brought dolphins from land to sea continues to turn, carrying within its curves the promise that intelligence can always find new forms, that consciousness can always discover new dimensions, that life itself will always surprise us with possibilities we never imagined. In the dolphin's eternal dance through liquid space, we see our own future spinning toward forms of awareness and ways of being that will make our current existence seem like the first tentative steps of creatures just learning to walk. They are tomorrow's teachers swimming in today's oceans, wisdom keepers holding secrets we desperately need to learn. In protecting them, we protect the very possibility of transformation itself, the hope that intelligence, properly applied, can guide us through any challenge, toward any dream, into any future we have the courage to imagine and the wisdom to create.